All right, take three. This is take three because, like an idiot, I started this video, I made the video, and then I watched it back and I realized that I had on that piece of paper right there somebody else's personally identifiable information, and I'm not really big on that. So, oh well, here goes. Got my coffee brewed, got my motors out, got my scale, got my caliper, which I'll need, got my Christmas tree, and we are good to go. So I saw a few months ago that the Eflite V1200 came out and was supposed to be really, really fast. Not just really, really fast, it was supposed to have a giant motor, at least based on the numbers they provided. It was a, well, hey, look what I happen to have right here. 5065 size. Now, what I typically take that to mean is the diameter of the can is the 50, and the length of the spinning body of the can is the 65. I don't know if that's right or wrong. That's just what I always thought. My opinion is worth what you paid for it, and as far as I'm concerned, you can have your money back anytime. So I wanted to get my hands on one of those. I can't quite afford it yet, so I thought, well, maybe I'll get a motor and test it, and maybe I'll find a different airframe that I can put it on, maybe like a Extreme Flight Pantera, or I don't know, something like that, because it's a beefy motor. And you may be wondering, well, why do you have a motor next to it? Well, this too is labeled as a 5065. That's only 320 kV though, so much higher voltage, much larger propeller. But anyway, so I just wanted to show the difference, right? Because these are labeled the same size, 5065, but they're physically much different. So I got my scale out. That's the first thing I did. And just to be fair, because the Turnigy SK3 here has a motor mount and a prop adapter. So, motor mount and prop adapter, 568 grams. The Eflite, motor mount, prop adapter, about 423 grams. Alright, so we're done with this. I'd like to show you the measurements here so you can see just what you're getting, on the off chance that there's anybody like me out there who wants to take one of these motors and put it in something other than the plane that it was built for. I can't be unique, right? Alright, so what's going on between the sizes here? That's what I wanted to figure out first, right? Like I said before, I always thought that the measurements were for the diameter of the can and the length of the spinning body. So if you look at this motor, that's labeled a 5065. If you look at it, and I can get it in frame, which is never a guarantee, just shy of 49 millimeters. And hey, you know what? That's close enough. Alright, the Eflite. 49 and a half. A little truer to spec there. The Turnigy. I'm going to measure just the rotating body from where the flat bit starts to where the flat bit ends. I'm not going to include any of this slope or any of the prop adapter because that's not what I want to measure. And we are right at 61 millimeters. So pretty close to, well, what I think a 5065 motor should be. If we take it up a little farther to include the entire rotating body minus the prop adapter, we get close to 69 millimeters. So, good with me. As you've no doubt noticed by now, the Eflite is a smaller motor. So where do they get that 65 from? Well, I'm going to show you. The flat part of the spinning body is only about 36.5 millimeters. The entirety of the spinning body is about 43. Now to get to that 65, what I have to do is I have to take the entirety of the motor from bearing to bearing, and there's your magic number, 65.5 millimeters. So say what you will, one way or the other. I just wanted to show that difference, right? Again, if anybody's out there who, wants to buy a motor for a project and wants to know what their the specs of what they're getting beforehand. Because if you think you're going to get one of these, well, you're not going to get a motor that size. You're going to get a motor this size. Okay, so let's go from there. I also bought a prop adapter for that plane. And what I forgot to factor in was that since it uses a really big spinner, that spinner is going to have a back plate, right? That back plate seems to sit right against the base of your prop adapter. And that is right at about 3/8 of an inch. 0.375, give or take a few thousandths. You see what I'm measuring here? That's just the very base of the prop shaft, right? It goes up to, again, let me show you that in millimeters too, just in case. 9.5 millimeters down there, which translates apparently to 3/8 of an inch. We're right at about a standard 6 millimeter. Sorry, I know I'm moving this around a lot. It's because I don't quite know where I have my camera pointed, and I won't know until I get to look at this video later. 6 millimeters, right? Now, I don't suppose that I'm going to use this the way it's intended. The airframes that I have in mind, I either won't use a spinner, or maybe I'll use a different spinner, or who knows, maybe I'll just go and buy a spinner from Eflite for the V1200. I don't know yet. What I want to know is, if I don't want to use this prop adapter, what else is out there? So you're going to need to know your measurements between your bolt holes. So I'll take measurements from here, between these two. Let's be a little more precise about it. Between these two. Between these two. The diameter of this. The width, the thickness of this. And just for fun, I'll get you the back side of that motor too to see what the motor mount is going to be like. But this came with the motor mount. It just may not fit whatever application you decide to put it on. So from the top, we'll go side to side here. I'm really sorry. I'm not sure what camera angle is going to get me in frame. Let's take it right from center to center. We're at about a 14.3. I measured this before, and it seems about a 14 millimeter distance will get you set. And that tracks with the inside of where the bearing sits too. That looks like it's pretty well lined up. Maybe not quite, but very close. All right, so about 14 millimeters here. We've got about just a hair over 20 millimeters bolt holes on center across. We've got this looked like about perfectly about half an inch earlier. There go the dogs. So maybe not quite, but we'll go back to millimeters. Right about 14 millimeters again. Very good. I don't know if you can see any of this, so I'm going to move it around some. Okay. Alright, and then let's go on the back side of this motor here. It's got to fit over, this was where the half inch was. That's right, I'm an idiot. Here we go. So the bearing measurement on the back side is right just a few thousandths shy of 1/2 inch. So as long as your motor mount hole through the center is bigger, you're good. Crosswise here, let's go back to millimeters. It was about 30. Let me get it squeezed in there. So there's right about 30 for your screw holes to mount your motor mount to your back plate. I just said the same thing. To mount your motor mount to your motor. Alright, and then crosswise here, you've got just a hair over 20 millimeters. And I may be just off a little bit on that, so let's go, yeah, right around 21 millimeters, inches. That's going to be 0.824. Gosh, is that 7/8? No, I'm an idiot. I can't think right. Anyway, 0.825 inches. And then across the entire thing, you're going to have center to center approximately, let's go back to mils. I don't know why I did that. That's not a better number. 57.8 in millimeters, or 2.275 inches. And I haven't quite had enough coffee yet today, so I'm not sure what that number is in fractions of an inch. Someone smarter than me out there can tell you that. And we're going to come down center to center, 1.6 inches, almost right on the nose, which is some not very useful number of millimeters, unfortunately. I apologize. 40.63 millimeters. Let's try 40.5 just for fun. 40.5 looks potentially doable. Alright, so that's that. Let's turn this off. I have to take the battery out or it will die. Put that away. So just to recap, 2 motors from 2 different manufacturers labeled as 5065 size. Very, very different results. So, yeah, just take that with a grain of salt. I'm not really trying to disparage a company, anything like that. You can see where they got the 65 from here. You can see where they got the 65 from here. I'm not saying either one of them's wrong. Like I said before, my opinion is worth what you paid for it, and you can have your money back anytime. So that's really all. I'm gonna test this motor pretty thoroughly. I've got some 7 and 8 cell speed controls lined up. Once I can figure out where I'm going to get a prop adapter from, and I'm not sure about that yet. I'm looking on Small Parts CNC. Love those guys. Maybe they have something that's already made up. I'm not sure. I haven't had any luck finding anything yet. So if you know anywhere to find a good prop adapter, bolt-on prop adapter, that's got the 4 holes spaced right, and they have a halfway decent diagram showing their measurements so I can make double, triple sure before I spend money on it, I would appreciate any help. Otherwise, hey, happy flying, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, whichever one applies to you, any of those things. Have a fantastic holiday season, and happy flying.